All right, everyone. Welcome back to the Tempe DC podcast. I'm Coach Gino, back again with my purple belt and cameraman, Mark. Mark, give him a shout.
What's up, everyone?
We have a new intro. If you guys didn't see, just right before we're going to be putting that intro up. Shout out to Adam Heyman, my good buddy and friend, who hooked us up with the theme music. We will be putting that intro in before our podcast now. So, edit by Mark, of course. Now, we are about 3 days away from Christmas. It is currently December 22nd. So, as most of our clients know, we are closed for the holiday weekends. This year, Christmas lands on a Sunday as well as New Year's. So, on the 24th, 25th, and 26th, we are closed Friday through Monday. Okay, observe holiday on Monday for Christmas. We are going to be closed. And on New Year's Eve and day, along with January 2nd, the day after New Year's, we are closed as well. The observed holidays will be on Mondays since we are landing on a Sunday for New Year's Day and Christmas Day. So, again, next few weekends, we will be closed. The rest of the week, we will be open Tuesday through Friday. This Friday, holiday party, everyone who knows at the gym, it is a potluck event. Make sure you guys are bringing a dish. If not, you guys can put a little donation in at the front desk. And make sure you guys come Friday night, ready to party, have a fun time, enjoy time with your teammates. Bring your gear if you want to train. If you just want to hang out and eat, that's okay too. So we should have a good time. Guys, at potlucks, again, always make sure you guys are cleaning up and everything after yourselves. You want to make sure I'm not taking any leftovers at the gym. I'm not going to leave any food over there. So we're bringing all the food home. So everyone, make sure you come hungry, ready to go. If you guys want to take food home, you guys can if there's leftovers. And we will have a good time. Holiday party, again, is on Friday, December 23rd at 5 p.m. So friends and family, all welcome to jump in and enjoy the time together with the team. So coming up in the next few weeks, we have, again, the new year coming right around the corner. So we should be seeing an influx of new folks coming in. So all those who are currently training on the mats, moving around, and those who are current members, anticipate that we're going to have a busier time in the beginning of the new year. So make sure you guys schedule your classes accordingly. Reserve your slots on our app, and that way you can ensure your spot on the mats. We also have on January 14th in 10th Planet Sacramento, our team duel. So again, the team duel, we've already established the team members. So for those who I've spoken to about competing on the Blue Belt team duel on the 14th of January, make sure you guys are ready to go. Make sure you guys make your weight. I know this is a team event, so we will be having a good time together. It's a little different than normal jiu-jitsu tournaments. Team duels are going to be a different format, but still jiu-jitsu. So those of you who are interested in coming out to watch or watch the live stream, come out and show support for your team members. Shout out to Albert for hosting the event at 10th Planet Sacramento. Albert's been hosting a lot of competitions around the area, and 10th Planet Sacramento team is building up a strong team out there. So very happy to see that and excited to go out there for the first time. I actually haven't been to 10th Planet Sacramento yet, but Albert's out there holding it down. Albert Tapia, if you guys don't know, if you're out in Sacramento and you want to get some training in, go look him up. And this is a good opportunity for us to talk about the team duel we had this past weekend. So there wasn't too much going on as far as competitions in mixed martial arts and combat's world, but we did have the first ever combat jiu-jitsu team duel event. And now this one is a really, really entertaining event that we just saw this past weekend. I was able to see majority of the matches. Didn't get to watch the whole event. Mark, you saw the whole event, right?
Yeah, I saw both of the team duels.
Okay, so there was a team of four teams of five in the team duel. Team Alpha Male brought a team. The B Team Jiu-Jitsu team brought one. Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds Mexico brought a team. I know it's a little tricky. The Mexico team in Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds brought a team, along with, of course, the 10th Planet Association brought a team. And I'm going to mostly speak on the winners of the tournament. Congrats to the 10th Planet team for showing out and having a great, spectacular performance. It was a tough one. It was definitely not easy, but, it definitely got a lot to encourage and a lot to be proud of with the team. I really am happy to see the 10th Planet guys get out there. But let's break down this whole event and talk about the team duel format, okay? The team duel format really comes from the quintet format, and Kazushi Sakuraba started this event a few years ago. The quintet event was started in Japan, okay? And Kazushi Sakuraba, if you don't know, MMA legend, decided to host the format for a 5-on-5 battle between jiu-jitsu competitors. And we've talked about the format before with these events, and it's a very fun, exciting way to watch jiu-jitsu. Now, typically, you'll see guys go one-on-one with each other, and, person who gets a tap gets the win. Now, in this event, you're going up against multiple competitors and a whole team of jiu-jitsu athletes. Now, if you're looking at it in a kind of tournament rule set or tournament format, it is strategically different. You have to think about not only yourself on the mat, you have to think about what you can do for your team when you're out there rolling. Because again, if you tap or if you get tapped in your match, your team is now down a seed because the objective is to be the last team standing and try to tap out all the other members of the other team. Now, a lot of times we'll see moments where folks will be strategic and not open up as much so that they don't get caught in a submission. They don't want to risk getting caught and bringing their team down a seed and making it difficult for them to come back. And also on the other end, you see some teams when they're down, they have more urgency to get a tap. They have to get a tap because their team is down. And this works for the entertainment value on a good scale. I think doing this format makes it really entertaining for folks to watch. I mean, Sakuraba's event, the initial ones were super, super exciting because no one had ever seen it. And Eddie Bravo was a part of those early events and decided to take that same format and bring it into the combat jiu-jitsu rule set. Now, with it being combat jiu-jitsu, now you have open palm strikes involved. So again, having it with a pure jiu-jitsu match is one thing, but now having strikes involved is a whole nother thing, because taking blows and strikes is different than when you're just rolling around. You're not able to just stay in certain positions because of the risk of getting hit. So this is where it becomes a little different with the format. And Eddie, always an innovator, always one to push the pace and push the level of jiu-jitsu up. He wanted to make this team duel event, and I really do think this is one of those events that can really grow and really have a lot of new spectators join in to watch the entertainment of this, because jiu-jitsu is one thing, but whenever strikes are involved, people are a little more interested. I just, as a striker myself who grew up with karate, boxing, martial arts, and Muay Thai, I love to see strikes. And, I love the pure grappling as well. Love wrestling, love the judo, sambo. But putting them together always adds this extra element of wow, of like, man, these guys can get hurt. Guys are getting cut. Guys are like getting rocked. Some guys are getting TKO'd. And you just want to see that extra aspect sometimes. And you want to see how jiu-jitsu guys will react once they take a blow to the head or a blow to the body. Now, again, it's not the same as MMA. There's no kicks involved. I think Eddie was trying to do up kicks at one point in the tournament, but still haven't seen up kicks. That's something I would like to see eventually. Up kicks meaning when you're a downed opponent to kick the standing opponent. And again, in this combat jiu-jitsu rule sets, you're only allowed to strike when someone's on the ground. So the person on the ground can get struck. You're not standing up and you're not throwing hands standing, because then it just becomes more of a stand-up martial art or stand-up battle. We are looking to emphasize jiu-jitsu in these tournaments. That's why it's called combat jiu-jitsu. Okay, we're looking for submissions. There will be some finishes with strikes, but that is not the emphasis. We want to see good submissions. We want to see finishes with chokes, joint locks, arm locks, leg locks. That's what we're looking for. And that's the emphasis. So let's break down the 10th Planet team's run through of this tournament. Now, again, there was 4 teams: Team Alpha Male, Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds, the B team, and the 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu team. Now, the first matchup with the teams was the B team versus Team Alpha Male. Is that right, Mark?
Yeah.
Okay. And I think the B Team Jiu-Jitsu was able to take out Team Alpha Male by the very last seed, right? I think the fourth man in the B Team was able to tap out was the fourth man? The fifth man tapped out the fifth man.
It was the fourth B team team member
Okay.
versus the last alpha male.
So he took out two people then. So the fourth member tapped one man, and then on the fifth one, there was no tap?
It was Damien, the second seed. He's the one.
Oh, Damien got two taps or
Yeah, he
one
got,
tap and then went to a draw?
Yeah.
Okay,
He got
so-
a rear naked choke, the first one,
And then to the
second
draw.
one, the draw.
Right. So in any match, again, when it's a draw, you're both eliminated. So Damien was the fourth seed on the B Team.
Yeah, Damien was the second seed.
Oh, and he tapped everyone?
So he went against. So the first match was Ethan Krellenton
Right.
versus Michinori Tanaka.
Okay.
Which was a
Draw.
I was surprised.
Really good match. Ethan was all over Tanaka, but Tanaka survived. Next match, Damien.
Versus Jeremiah Labiano.
Okay.
Shout out Jeremy Labiano, who went to my high school.
Okay. Shout out to Jeremy. But Jeremy unfortunately got the L on that one, got tapped. And then Damien goes against the third seed, right?
Isaac Thompson,
Uh-huh.
and then they draw.
And they draw. Okay, and the rest of them become draws.
The next one was a draw. The last one was a sub.
Okay, gotcha. So, again, shout out to the B Team. B Team is, even though they're called the B Team, they are no schmucks. They are legit killers. What a savage team out there. Alpha Male, shout out, big respect to them. And they're also their leader, Araya Faber, went out to do the super match at the end of that night. So we'll talk about that later, him versus Elias Anderson. But B Team advances to the finals. There's a 4-man bracket again. Now, the next matchup, we see 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu go up against Combat Jiu-Jitsu World's team. Now, first matchup, Jordan Worth, unfortunately, gets tapped with a deep heel hook from the saddle. I mean, man, it looks like it is deep right when they jump on it. I think they were able to battle off the legs in the beginning of the match, but towards the end of it, man, just gets heel hook ripped and then gets injured, unfortunately, and then he's out for the rest of the night. After that, Ben Eddy steps up as the second seed, and Ben Eddy goes on a tear of 2 submissions in a row, takes out seeds number 2, 3, and 4 for the Combat Jiu-Jitsu team. No, sorry. Is it 2 and 3? Yeah, 2 and 3 and 4, right? He took out 3 men. First matchup he had, attacks his famous Hindulatine. If you don't know the Hindulatine, it's a very, very high level choke where the leg wraps over the head, the arm wraps over the leg, and then the hands connect for a choke. Ben Eddy's famous for it. If you haven't seen it, look it up, the Hindulatine. So Ben Eddy attacks the Hindulatine, doesn't finish it, but transitions to a beautiful triangle and ends up getting the arm bar from the triangle. Very beautiful attack. Ben Eddy, high level guard right there. Second matchup for Ben Eddy, ends up finishing that Hindulatine once he gets it again. And even though everyone knows what Ben Eddy's going to go for, it is just hard to stop. Ben Eddy is a terror on the mat whenever you get on there with him. Mark, what did you see on that one?
Yeah, dude. I actually went to a Ben Eddy seminar in New York, and he and I got to feel the Hindulatine, and it's just crazy. Like I just don't understand how. Like, he's just so good at that.
So good. Ben Eddy, shout out to Ben Eddy, a NorCal OG. I started out here in the Bay and then definitely seen him trek all over the globe with 10th Planet representing hard. So big shout out to Ben Eddy out there. Really high level guard game. And in the last matchup he had, man, what a war. From what I saw, I think he got cut, right, Mark? And then he had a tough battle on this last match. After submitting 2 guys, you got to have some fatigue. But Ben Eddy was able to weather the storm and ended up surviving that match. He was getting beat up pretty much. And then luckily, Ben's a savage. He's not no punk. He stayed in there, took all the shots, weathered the storm, and then ends up going to a draw, taking out the 4th man. After that, we end up going to Mike John on the 3rd seed of the 10th Planet team. And then on the other side, the 5th man on the Combat Jiu-Jitsu team ends up going up against Mike John. Now, that was the infamous slam, right? The slam match.
Yeah. So he had.
So he had the 4th match first. So Mike had to go up against the 4th seed of the Combat Jiu-Jitsu Mexico team, right?
Yeah.
That match, I think he finishes by guillotine, his famous Armin guillotine. Mike John, if you don't know, 10th Planet Orange, savage with the guillotine. Armin guillotine, very, very notorious for that. And then on the last match that he had against the 5th seed of the Combat Jiu-Jitsu Mexico team, ends up getting slammed a couple times. And in slamming, it's not, again, it's illegal in the Combat Jiu-Jitsu rule set, but on the second slam, ends up sinking in that guillotine real tight and ends up finishing the guy on the 5th seed. So Mike ends up getting 2 submissions, seeing that, again, only 3 competitors went up in that in the 10th Planet team. We had 2 fresh men in there, Nathan Orchard and Sam Hardy. Very beautiful to see 3 guys take out the other 5 guys on the Combat Jiu-Jitsu Mexico team. So 10th Planet right there just makes a statement with that finish on that bracket or that seed.
You think the slam caused the guillotine to be even worse for him?
In aspects, it could. Definitely, I'm interested to know what Mike his thoughts are on that slam. I definitely saw him talking after the matchup to the ref and to the other competitor. So you don't know exactly what he was saying. I think we'll figure that out soon. But yeah, the slams, in a sense, sometimes slams don't make things better in jiu-jitsu. Sometimes the slam actually sinks the choke in deeper. But Mike is notorious for that guillotine. And again, I think once he wrapped that neck, it was pretty much a done deal. He got that slam, and then I think he paid the price for it. Whoever, I forgot the guy's name who slammed him, but man, that definitely, you got to work a different strategy once you get in a guillotine lock like that. Slamming is illegal, but luckily Mike took it like a champ and finished the matchup. So great to see 10th Planet moves on to the finals as well. Now, special match. We had a few special matches. The main event was, again, Uriah Faber versus Elias Anderson. We'll talk about that later. But another 10th Planet Savage that's coming up in these rankings and coming up quick is Tien Lu. Tien Lu out of 10 Planet Pasadena. Shout out to Eric Campella Cruz, to Lila Cruz, to Eric Ramey, my old friends from back in the day. 10 Planet Pasadena is a group of savages out there. And Eric Ramey is bringing up Tien Lu, who is a recently promoted purple belt, very, very high level leg locker, very high level grappler. He came up and really made a statement. I think the special match he won, if I'm not mistaken, Mark, did you see the results of his special match? I don't think I watched it either.
I didn't get to see the special matches.
But yeah, I think Tien's always been one of those guys who's game. He's competing a lot. He's very, very active. And I think I'm pretty sure he won that special match. Again, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But ends up stepping up to replace the injured Jordan Worth. And this becomes the final matchup with the B team along with the 10th Planet team and Tien replacing Jordan Worth. So in the finals, I hate to admit it, but 10th Planet was getting hurt. He was getting wrecked in those regulations. They were in deep waters. But the thing with combat jiu-jitsu and team duels is about finishing. You have to get the finishes in order for you to take out seeds. Now, you can beat them up all you want. You can get all the points you want. You can get them in the worst spots possible. But if you do not get the finish on any person in there, you will be eliminated. So you have to finish. Now, there were some moments in a lot of the matchups. Let's talk about the lineup, right? I think the first matchup of the night for that finals was the first man on the 10th Planet team was Sam Hardy. And Sam Hardy ends up getting to a draw. I think that was a pretty good match, right? Do you remember that match, Mark?
Yeah, it was back and forth.
It was pretty back and forth. There wasn't no domination on either side. Sam was definitely game, but couldn't get the sub. Moves on to the second matchup. Tien Lu goes in, and Tien Lu, man.
It was the second was Ethan and Nate.
Oh, the second was Ethan and Nate. Yeah, so the two freshest men, Ethan and Nate. So Ethan and Nate. And that, my God, Ethan was all over Nathan Orchard from the get-go. But Nathan Orchard, such an OG, so tough, so durable, ends up surviving for the whole round in deep waters. There were some moments where I was like, oh, it's a wrap. It's done. Ethan had the neck wrapped. He had the arm. He had everything in certain moments. Nathan Orchard, man, just a survivor. Very, very, very tough guy. And you see it in those moments when he was in those deep waters, stayed super calm, stayed always composed, never looked like he was panicking, never looked like he was in danger, even though the position was terrible. His face, his demeanor, his energy, you can tell that man was composed as hell. And that's what you need in these events. Composure always wins. Now, the third matchup, Tien Lu, again, a tough one. Tien was just against Damian Anderson, and Damian Anderson is such a killer. Damian Anderson took out those guys in the first round, but Damian was all over Tien. And again, Damian's a black belt, if I'm not mistaken, right? Damian's a black belt. Tien's a recently promoted purple belt, and you can see the level of just where Damian's at, where Tien's at. But again, Tien was able to be smart and survive the attacks of Damian, and that was just amazing to see. And Tien was such heart in there, and you gotta love to see that. And even though Damian was all over him, Tien weathered the storm and made it out. So moving on to the next match, Ben Eddy ends up again going to a draw in regulation. Tough match for Ben as well there. And then the last one, Mike John. Mike John in this last matchup, do you remember the name of the competitor against Mike John in the last one?
Dorian Olivares.
And those two end up going to a draw. Mike John has a tough time in that one. Dorian's all over Mike and putting him in bad spots, but again, Dorian cannot finish Mike. And then we move on to the overtime rules. So the first overtime we saw in the combat jiu-jitsu team duels. Again, if you're not familiar with EBIOT, EBIOT is a little different than most tournaments. EBIOT, you are going back and forth with your partner in bad positions and trying to escape the fastest or submit the fastest. Now, from the initial jump, okay, we're looking at picking the final fifth person, or not necessarily the fifth person, but picking the last person to jump in on the OT. Now, for overtime, EBI overtime, you don't pick your own team member to go out and compete. You pick the other side's worst person to compete. Hopefully their worst person. You really can't tell who's the worst person in the EBI format, but you do your best. Typically, what's smartest is you pick the most recent person on the mat. If you're not sure, pick the most tired guy, and the most tired guy is the one who most recently competed, which is what both sides did. Mike John went up against Dorian, and then they ended up going at it. Now, we saw Mike survive. What was it, Mark?
I was gonna say I was just randomly thinking during that, like, I wonder if we did like a lottery of choosing the person,
like a random.
Yeah,
random. That would work. I mean, you never know with it being, random. I think that's something that you don't want to rely on random. You want to be strategic. You want to actually have some say in what's going on. But the format, again, it goes down to strategy and making sure you pick smartest, right? You may pick the guy who's not as technically good, but if the other team picks a guy who's more tired, that's a big factor. Not being technically sound against a guy who's tired can sometimes work in your favor. If you're fresh and you have the ability to move around, I was thinking that Tien would get picked for the 10th Planet team, since he was the least experienced, not the only one who wasn't a black belt, and I was thinking they may pick him. And I think even the team, 10th Planet, was thinking about that as well. Tien was getting ready to go, but they ended up picking Mike John. Now, in the overtime, Mike, in the regulation, I should say, Mike, again, we saw him not getting tapped in those bad spots. So once they picked Mike, I was very confident. I was like, oh man, I think they picked the wrong person for that one. Mike was able to survive an onslaught by Dorian, and the fact that they both got picked into the overtime rule set, unfortunately, shows that you're going to be looking at a guy who's already proven hard to tap in those bad spots. So they go to the first round. I think Mike wins the coin toss, if I believe right, and picks second, right? We look at the first matchup. Dorian jumps on the back of Mike picks to go second in the round. Again, there's a top and bottom of each round, 3 rounds total. So at the top of the first round, we have Dorian take Mike's back. If I'm not mistaken. No, Mike takes Dorian's back, right, Mark? If I'm mistaken, correct me. Let me think, because I remember the second round is when we got the finish. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think actually Mike went first. Okay, so Mike went first, was on Dorian's back, ends up grabbing the back and just controlling some ride time, and that's a strategy again because you don't want them to escape fast right off the jump. A fast escape ensures that if the whole 3 rounds goes to no submission, the quickest escape time wins. So you want to get a little ride time, a little time to run the clock a little bit and then attack. Dorian ends up escaping off the first or the top of the first round, and then they flip. Mike ends up getting his back taken on the bottom. And Mike, real quick, off the jump, escapes quick. And, our 10th Planet team, we train EBI a lot, and not necessarily just EBI, but those back takes. And when someone's on your back, we train to get that quick escape. And gets that quick escape right out the jump. And then it flips back into the second round. Second round again, Mike John takes the back of Dorian and ends up getting a rear naked sunk in, gets the tap on Dorian, I think with like a minute or less, and it was pretty quick. And we see now Dorian forced to take the bottom of the second round, take the back of Mike John, and you have to get a sub faster. The only way for him to win is get a faster time subbing Mike than Mike got on him. So jumps on the back, attempts to go for the attack. Mike John just super explosive right away, jumps around, moves around, and gets his elbow down to the mat, and boom, just like that, 10th Planet gets the victory in that OT. Now, again, for some people, you may not like that rule set. Unfortunately, it is the way it is. Even though the 10th Planet team had some woes in the regulation, they were able to finish when it counted. The overtime is the rule set so that we do not allow judges to be involved with these matches. The judges' perception of matches are always subjective, and sometimes we don't know what these judges are seeing. And we talk about this a lot on this podcast about making it to the end and trying to get your finishes. Finishing is a huge thing in martial art. Getting the victory, a decisive victory, not letting judges decide it, is big. Now, if you do not like this rule set, so be it. I have yet to see another rule set as good as the EBI overtime rule set. And one day maybe we may find one, and I'm sure Eddie would be all over and welcomed to add that to his format. But to this day, jiu-jitsu, when it comes down to it, if you're looking at a judge's decision, you just don't know what the judges see. If you want to go for sub only, and you want to go for a no time limit matchup, you can do that as well. But we've seen that in the past. Gordon Ryan, Felipe Pena. We saw that with the what was that tournament Kyle Chambers was in? And Kyle Chambers went in for almost a 2-hour match against one of the B team members as well, and that was just killer. Everyone was like dying for that match to be over. It was just such a long, tedious match that no one wanted to see. So no time limit matches are tough to see too, because again, it just turns into very little action over a prolonged period of time, and guys are fatigued. So unless you want to watch no time limit matches and you got the time for it, we got to have a way to have decisive victories within a constrained time limit. And I think the EBIOT, in my opinion, is the one. Put your debate in the comments if you guys have other thoughts on it. And again, it's not something where I'm sure Eddie is not concrete on this. He's still developing the rule set. He's always evolving. He's always welcome to let people come in and critique and show their reasoning behind things. And he's not a closed-minded person. If anyone knows Eddie Bravo, he's more than welcome to debate. He's more than welcome to talk and figure out the rules better for every tournament to make jiu-jitsu exciting. You want to make this sport fan-friendly. We want to make this event something that people can watch back and have the oohs and ahs and be able to see and have a good time when they watch it. Jiu-jitsu in an aspect of, martial arts and the whole combat sports world, it's very difficult for the average person to understand it. It's just like wrestling. The average folk doesn't understand wrestling, the sport. They don't really watch it for entertainment only. I mean, there's a reason boxing, MMA, and those striking arts get more views. It's because of the excitement factor of strikes being thrown, and everyone understands the significance of a strike being thrown. And at the same time, people understand also the chokes and the arm locks, but it's just not to the same degree. People don't naturally understand the submission attacks because it is a trained attack. You have to have training to attack those and to attack them properly. But strikes, anyone can throw a strike. Anyone can throw a slap or a kick or a punch. It may not be technically sound, but anyone can throw them. So again, we're looking at trying to make jiu-jitsu a family-friendly sport, and this is one of the ways Eddie Bravo is innovating the sport so that we can make it viewable and get more people into the sport. You know, Jiu-Jitsu is still growing a lot. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, they all have their roots and they all have their effectiveness in a certain degree to a certain scale, but we always want to test each other. We always want to continue to push each other, push the envelope, and we want to make sure that the sport grows along with the evolving nature of MMA. And MMA in general is still evolving to this day. We've seen the sport grow so much. Combat sports in general have evolved so much. And ever since the Gracies touched down here in the U.S. in the 90s, we've seen so much growth since then in such a short time. And I think we're going to continue to see it grow. This is the way we do it, by trying new rule sets, trying new events, making sure we give the fans opportunities to see and view and spectate and critique it as well. So, again, leave us your thoughts. If you guys have any questions about what the rule set is, if I didn't explain it correctly, if I'm confusing you guys, or if you guys want to see more of it, please leave them in the comments. We want to make sure we get the word out there. Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds on UFC Fight Pass. Go check it out. The replay is there. I think Eddie's got his qualifiers up on his YouTube channel. So if you don't have UFC Fight Pass, check out the qualifiers. It's not combat jiu-jitsu, but it is some high-level jiu-jitsu, pure jiu-jitsu. And if you want to see it, go check it out. So, a lot to talk about with the team duels. I'm excited to see the next event. I hope Eddie does one soon. Maybe this next time with heavyweights, you know, maybe with women, with the Medusa Challenge. You never know what Eddie's thinking, cooking it up. But I'm really excited and happy to see that format finally grow into fruition. So big round of applause for the 10th Planet team and the champions. So I hope you come back. They all come back and get to defend that title. It is a very, very entertaining format to watch and view. So, Mark, any last thoughts on the Combat Jiu-Jitsu team duel event?
That was probably my favorite jiu-jitsu event. It was awesome. It was so cool to see. Do you think he'd ever do a quintet style where it's max weight instead of everybody the same weight?
That's the thing with
strikes.
Yeah, the unfortunate part is typically they would do quintets with a max weight. So, for example, the team duel we have in Sacramento is 875 max, and everyone can come in at whatever weight, but the combined weight has to be 875 max. This combat jiu-jitsu team duel, another difference with that is that everyone has to come in at the lightweight 155 weight limit. So every competitor is 155. Now, I don't think they would do that same format because they don't want to see heavyweights smacking 125ers, right? And that's just instant KO if they take one shot. So that would be the reasoning. You know, who knows? Maybe people will put that event on. I don't think Eddie would be allowed to on the UFC Fight Pass unless, you know, some crazy promotion wants to host it. But when it comes down to striking and it comes down to just combat sports in general, weight does make a big difference. So in the typical format, if there is over a 30-pound difference, they will shorten the match a little bit. So I think typically the matches are 8-minute regulation. They'll cut it down to 5 if there is a 30-pound discrepancy. Again, this is not the combat jiu-jitsu format. I think in the combat jiu-jitsu format, everyone's the same weight. So everyone is doing, how long are the matches?
8 minutes.
Everyone's match is 8 minutes in that. So again, a little different, a little adjustment, but again, it just shows the innovation of Eddie Bravo and the sport and just overall seeing the development of martial arts. It's beautiful to see. I really applaud it. I really encourage it. I want to see more of it. So again, let us know your comments, what you guys think about it. Again, it is the holiday season. I think we'll have one more podcast before the new year. I'll talk to Mark about getting that up for you guys. I hope you guys have been enjoying the podcast. Appreciate everyone's support. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share, and let us know what you guys think in the comments below. Other than that, Mark, any last closing thoughts?
Thanks for listening, everyone.
All right, everyone. Take care. Have a good one. Take care. Train hard. Stay consistent.